Hey everyone, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. Ole Gamer Joe here with another review for you today. We are looking at Hellpoint, which comes from developer Cradle Games and was published by Tiny Build, releasing onto Steam, PS4, and the Xbox One on July 30th of 2020. This was also scheduled to come to the Nintendo Switch. I guess the developer hit a few technical hurdles there, and that version is now a little bit delayed. It will be coming out later in 2020, hopefully. The game will normally be priced at $34.99. There is a 20% special promotion discount on the Steam PC version, which is where we played it. That brings it down to $27.99. So if you are interested in this title, you'll want to jump on that deal. This is an action RPG with a pretty cool science fiction meets horror aesthetic to go along with the gameplay, and it definitely has a lot in common with the Dark Souls series for sure, there's no denying that. The game takes place in the Irid Novo space station, which has now been overrun by a demonic horde of enemies that are out to kill everything in sight. This ship was well equipped, however, as the author of this ship has the ability to create an entity. That entity is you. So now it's up to you to reclaim this ship, ridding it of all of these demons, and to figure out just what exactly happened here. Gameplay wise, anyone who has experienced a Dark Souls style game before will feel right at home here. You have the ability to heal by pressing down on the D-pad. Of course, you have a limited number of vials, and you'll need to strategically heal as it does take a little bit of time due to the animation. Your main attacks are attached to the right bumper and the right trigger should you be playing on an Xbox controller as I was. The right bumper does a little bit more of a light attack that's slightly quicker than your more aggressive right trigger attack. Of course, the downside to that right trigger attack is that it's a pretty painfully slow animation most of the times and it can leave you pretty vulnerable. There's quite a few different enemy types that you'll come across throughout Hellpoint. This is a very long adventure. If you're able to complete it, it can take you up to 25 hours at least. And if you're going to succeed in this game, you're going to have to carefully learn their animations. Some of the enemies towards the beginning of the game obviously aren't as difficult as the later ones, but if you're not careful, you're going to get one-shotted and killed pretty quickly by some of the game's tougher enemies. While the game does feature a wide variety of melee weapons for you to use against your foes, there are also some ranged weapons, including guns, which you can use to blast at enemies from a distance, but do be warned, these enemies also have guns at certain times. And of course, there's plenty of armor for you to collect along the way, including shields, which you can use by pressing the left bumper, and this is going to be important depending on the enemy as well, as you'll need to carefully block some attacks and quickly counterattack. If you weren't a fan of Dark Souls style combat before, this game won't change your mind, but it does do a really good job of emulating that system. I found that my attacks were responsive, the dodge mechanic worked well, and yes, I am terrible at these games to be upfront with you, even though I do enjoy them. I died a lot in this game, but it was mostly my fault. Something that's really cool about Hellpoint though is the fact that it has local co-op. I think this is really neat. This is the first time I've encountered something like that in a Souls game, at least the ones I've played. You do have to have a second save file on your system in order to access the co-op mode, which did confuse me a little bit at first. The game will essentially take from that profile and allow for you to play together, and the split screen didn't lag. There was no frame rate dropping, at least on the PC version that I noticed. It works really well. Unfortunately, I didn't have a co-op partner for long that I could take advantage of this mode with, but it's really neat and I do look forward to going back and hopefully taking down some of the game's more difficult bosses with my partner. Another cool thing about Hellpoint is its online system. Even though unfortunately it wasn't working well at the time of this review, you can actually leave a handprint on walls if you need help, and this allows other players to see that handprint and access it in order to join your game. There's also a yellow handprint that you can leave behind, and this allows you to leave an obscure clue for other players. These are pretty cool ideas. Unfortunately, again, the one time I did connect to an online player, the game completely bogged down and was unplayable, so unfortunately I wasn't really able to test the online feature as I would have liked. So yes, there are co-op options. Unfortunately, I wasn't personally able to take advantage of most of them for this review, so I was left to die over and over again. Thankfully though, you can grind in this game. In fact, it's likely you will need to grind a lot of Axiom, which is essentially experience. Should you die on a run, you will drop all of the Axiom that you had, but if you go back to that area and successfully recollect it, you won't have to worry about losing it. You will want to be mindful of trying to get back to a checkpoint of sorts in this game so that you can deposit all your Axiom, however, so you don't lose it. You're able to boost a wide variety of different attributes in this game, including your load capacity, your health, and your stamina. Whenever you dash around the screen, or should you swing your weapon, you're going to use up some of that stamina, so this becomes a pretty important attribute that you'll probably want to work on fairly early in the game if you want any chance of surviving. So overall, is the core gameplay of Hellpoint original? No, not really, but it does enough right that this genre is known for to make it an enjoyable playable experience, and I did like the addition of local co-op. Graphically, Hellpoint looks really great. I like the atmosphere of this game. The setting is very dark and grim. The enemy designs are pretty cool for the most part. And I have to say, in my experience, the performance of the game is exceptional, even in split screen. I wasn't dropping any frames whatsoever. Some of the lighting is pretty effective. Again, the creature designs are really fantastic, and the bosses are all interesting to look at, even though I got sick of looking at them as they continually killed me. The soundtrack's quite fantastic as well. There's some wonderful pieces that crop up, particularly during boss battles. They're quite well executed. Enemy sounds and sword slashes are effective enough, and while a lot of the experience is filled with ambient sounds versus full-on orchestrated musical pieces, when those musical pieces do show up, they're mostly really great. I was not very good at Hellpoint, and that's really my own fault. I'm not very good at these games, but it doesn't mean I didn't have a great time, and I look forward to actually trying to complete it at some point. No, I did not beat the game, but I did sink a lot of hours into it, and a lot of those hours were spent dying over and over again. Doesn't make for the most interesting footage after a while. But this is likely good news for fans of Souls-type games. This is a very difficult, challenging game. If you're trying to go through it on your own, expect a good fight here. Theoretically, though, even though I didn't get to spend much time messing around with it, the addition of co-op should help you to take down some of the game's more difficult challenges a lot easier. The setting of this game is the thing I will remember the most about it. It really is quite engrossing, and the gameplay works well. If you're a fan of action RPGs but don't like them overly difficult, then Hellpoint probably won't be the game for you, but if you love the ferocious challenge of the Dark Souls series, then this one will be right up your alley. So will you be checking out Hellpoint? Let us know in the comments section below, and if you have enjoyed our video coverage today, consider hitting the subscribe button. Help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. There's a ton of other ways to support I Dream of Indie down in the description box. Consider our Patreon, or heading over to our Facebook page or our Discord. However you end up supporting us, we thank you so much for doing so.